अस्सलाम वालेकुम, दिस इज़ कराची की कहानी, कराची की ज़ुबानी और मैं हूँ आपकी होस्ट शाफिया अख्तर। और आज के एपिसोड में हमारे साथ हैं Ethan Colaco. So hello Ethan, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you introduce yourself?
As you heard already, my name is Ethan Colaco and I'm currently enrolled in accounting and finance. I'm in my 4th semester right now. And who am I as a person?
Yeah.
I love to listen to music. I love to watch movies, talk about them, analyze them, write reviews. I even love to write stories in my free time. And yeah, stuff like that. I really love to express myself in the form of media. So yeah, that's basically what I like to do. And I also want to get into investment banking in the future,
That's great.
professionally.
And what was it like growing up? What was your childhood like?
Growing up wasn't particularly, it was animated, but it wasn't particularly discriminatory, if you ask me. But there have been a few experiences, a few instances that made me feel like I'm not, equal to certain people. There have been a few instances.
Why did you feel that?
Okay, so let's
Introduce
just,
introduce your faith.
yeah. Oh, so I'm a Christian, a Roman Catholic, and that I've always been proud of my religion. I've always been proud of it. But throughout the course of my time here in Karachi, since I was born in Karachi, I have experienced many cases where people have, tried to convert me on an extreme level, right? But that has never made me feel inferior to them because my faith is what I'm proud of, right? So that's one thing.
What's your favorite aspect of your faith?
My favorite aspect of my faith is basically how everything basically comes together and how the Bible is basically an entire guideline of how to live, right? And the Bible basically, it prompts people to question the religion in a positive way, right? Like, who are you? Not just who is God, whether God exists, right? That is there. But it's more about questioning yourself, questioning why you exist and what your, purpose is in life. So that's practically what it is.
Do you think you were able to practice your faith just like how you wanted it in Karachi?
Yes. If I talk about my background,
Yeah.
I was brought up in a community. Obviously, I was brought up in the Christian community, in a Catholic community. But where I used to live, there used to be people from different denominations, different sects, different creeds, Memans, Bodhis, Madrasi Christians, different types of Christians from various places from India.
Yeah.
So I have spoken to many people, I have interacted with them, but obviously I come from a very introverted family. So we have been more, we haven't exactly interacted as much with them as we probably should have. So yeah, I've seen many things, I have experienced a few things. Yes.
And what was those interactions like?
So in childhood, in case I haven't mentioned, I used to go to St. Patrick's High School, which is a Catholic elementary school, elementary and further education like metric and A levels and O levels. So when I was over there, I used to strive to I wanted to be part of many groups, right? As is the social thing, right? The social thing is that you need to socialize with people, right? Initially, I didn't feel like, because I used to feel different. But as I kept, talking to people, I began to realize that there was something that was inherently, differentiating us. There were many times when I approached, Muslim groups. They used to play cricket, and mind you, they were just kids. They used to play cricket. They used to normally exclude me. They used to keep me as either the goalkeeper, we were playing football, or as, a fielder. And I used to think that's because I wasn't proficient in the sport. But there have been many instances when people have actually approached our PT sirs and have actually asked him to basically keep me with the minorities. So naturally, so we had various groups of Hindus and Christians, right, as one group. So even if I didn't gel with them, I had to be with them to fit into the society. So normally we used to just sit around and talk while the rest of them used to play. So in that sense, I felt many differences growing up. So I haven't really had many friends, so to speak.
Even though you were in a Catholic school,
Yes.
and that was
So,
the case.
Yeah. So we had guidelines, but on paper. Rules and regulations on paper, nothing was enforced. And it was just really, it didn't make me feel, I did feel at home in the sense that, my parents, my father, my grandfather, they've all studied from St. Pat's. But I didn't feel like I was in a Catholic school. It felt like I was in a school that barely, cared about its minority. And one more thing, out of let's say 40 people, there were, let's say a group of 40 students, there were 4 who were Christian, 4 or 5. And that proportion was actually pretty huge, of Christians to Muslims, even though it was a Catholic school. Yeah. Many of our Christians didn't want to get into this school.
Why didn't they want to get into this?
Because of what I mentioned. It wasn't a good school to begin with. The quality of education had plummeted. And apart from that also, socially, it wasn't a good school for Christians. So they were normally put into other schools like St. Paul's, St. Joseph's for girls, CGM, Convent of Jesus and Mary. Yeah. And these schools were better, especially CGM. That's a top tier Catholic school. So yeah. And that's not to say that the other schools don't have any problems, they probably do. But it's better to, go to those schools than to us. So yeah.
Why didn't they want to get into this?
There might have been a few differences, but more or less it's practically the same. Everyone has experienced something traumatizing, not traumatizing, but something discriminatory in their lives. Something or the other, even if it's something very small, it has changed their perception of, where they are. And if I speak for myself, those experiences have carried forward to my adulthood, to my adolescence, to my adulthood, in the sense that I have to be very wary of who I'm talking to and how people interact with me, and I've noticed many things.
What's one incident that you remember very vividly that shaped you and changed you as a person?
So there are a few experiences, many instances in fact, but I'll just quote 2 to 3. First and foremost, this is when I was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was around 14 years old, 14 to 15 years old. Yeah, no wait, 17 years old. So I was fairly, old. Yeah. So there was a time, so basically I live right in front of a masjid. So yeah, that masjid is normally home to many extremists, I guess, many incredibly religious people. So I used to go to the gym, which was right inside my church, and my church was a 5 to 10 minute walk away from my house. So मुझे वहाँ तक जाना होता था. So one fine day, it was summer, it was June or something, and it was hot, so I wore shorts and I had to go there. So while I was going, it just happened. It was at 5 or 6 or something, and there were many Maulvis who were entering, and one specific Maulvi, he stopped me and he was very hostile towards me. He said, "Ye aapne kya pehna hai? Why are you inviting the gays?" G-A-Z-E. So I said, back then I was not street smart at all. I was shivering to my core. I didn't know what to do because I assumed the worst. Okay, kya hoga? They'll pick me up, or they'll harass me or something, because stuff like that happens not only with women but also with men, and it's equally distasteful. तो मुझे डर काफ़ी लगा था, and my parents had also warned me against it. But खैर, I tried to explain to him that bus it's a 5-minute walk away from my house. I just need to get there, and I'm getting late. So he wasn't leaving me. I just left while he just stood there, and he was shouting insults. And mind you, right in front of a masjid, he was shouting insults. And he's a Maulvi, or a religious person, whatever. Religious person. So yeah, that. And one more experience, if I can share, is that in my adulthood, I joined I joined a software house as a content writer, as an intern, and there I was really happy. I was really driven to work, and the working conditions seemed fine, right? And it was owned by a really affluent, person, and he was a Shia. So when I went there, the first 2 days were fine, third day was fine. Then one person invited me to eat with them because they used to eat from the same plate.
Yeah.
I was really happy, but I was a bit hesitant, but I was happy. फिर क्या हुआ कि the other people who were with him, they poisoned his ears or something, and the very next day they started getting very uncomfortable with me being there. Eventually, they told me कि भाई, if you don't mind, could you please eat somewhere else? I said, you were the one who called me. He said, no, we feel uncomfortable because apparently we are not supposed to eat with Christians or non-Muslims. So that whole thing really jarred. Like, I felt embarrassed even though it wasn't even my fault, right? And I genuinely felt like they were going to, report me or something even though I didn't do anything wrong. So yeah, this is one more experience.
Did you say anything to them? Like after that, like did that impact your work?
I just after that. Oh, and by the way, he got sacked like 1 month later. And it was a shady shady company. They used to do many things. They basically used to scam in a way, right?
That's what they do.
They used to scam, and I was not aware of it. Yeah, and I was not aware of it till the end. Otherwise, I would have left there and then. They used to exploit us a lot and all. So, anyways, the person who was in charge, he constantly used to mention my religion, which I don't think should, for an organization that is or isn't practicing DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you bring up a person's religion in the workplace? Yeah. What you should be concerned about is a person's productivity, is their efficiency, not who they are. Their profile doesn't matter for the most part.
Do you feel like your opportunities were different from your peers growing up? And
My opportunities, okay, so like this is the positive side of the spectrum. There have been many things that happened where I was given privilege.
Okay.
Like in university, there have been many instances when people were faculty members, like for example in the last semester, there was a marketing teacher. She saw my name and she instantly took a liking to me. I didn't even do anything. Why? Because I had an English name, right? Another instance was that I try my best to, blend into the environment. Yeah. But they just saw my name. They saw that I do speak in English, and they immediately made me the the CR, right? And in IBA, there's something that happened in IBA, which I would love to share. Basically, even though I sort of, I failed by 2 marks because of maths. So they still called me for the interview. I gave the interview and all as I normally would. Then they said, and by the way, in case you all haven't noticed, I stammer. So like that's a problem of mine. So they said, see, let's be real with you. The reason we bought you is because you have an English name and you come from a seemingly like not reputed, but a privileged background. That's what it seems, and that you're English speaking and that your conversational skills would be good. But obviously, since it's IBA and there were like a panel of 5 judges or something, मैं अकला रहा था. So they just saw that and they said, see, if you had the communication skills, we would have taken it, but you can't. You stammer, so no, you can leave. And one more thing, just a small instance, not an instance, it keeps happening. Whenever I book a ride, because I commute by bike here, whenever I book a ride, they always see my name and they keep questioning me they keep questioning me about every single thing, and then they put their own 2 bits, how Islam is different from Christianity and why, certain things are right of theirs as compared to ours. So yeah.
As you mentioned your name, so what does your name mean? What does Colaco?
My name or my surname?
Your surname, like where does
surname? doesn't inherently mean anything, but it's a Portuguese name because my ancestors, some of them were part Portuguese, full Portuguese, and then their like children were part Portuguese. So like I do have Portuguese in my blood, but obviously I was born here, so like.
So do you feel connected to your community, to your own people?
To my Christian community?
Like the Portuguese or like wherever you grew up.
I grew up here.
Yeah.
The Portuguese, I have no connection with them, zero. But I do, I am really interested in their culture and all because it's my great grandfather who was possibly Portuguese. So like I never actually. I have very little Portuguese in my blood.
So why did they select Karachi? Pakistan ही क्यों आना था? Like when it was supposed to be a Muslim country.
My grandmother, I remember my grandmother's father, so my great grandfather. He was quite poor. This is what my mother has told me. He just took the first train that he saw and he just came here. Because he was a bit, he was still studying, so he thought that, the growth prospects of this country, of this part of the world, would be like immense. But once we reach it, we all know what happened.
How do you feel about Karachi? Like, do you think it is better
It's
than
a
other? Yeah, it's a melting pot
of various cultures, and to a certain extent, I'm happy. I'm sort of happy here, sort of. But socially, this is not a good place.
Okay.
There are many people, but there are also many extremists, and obviously, there is always a negative among positives. There are more negatives than positives here, right? The infrastructure, as you know, is terrible, and the people are fine. The people are fine. Like I have seen many videos. I've come across many people who are very kind here, who are very generous here, regardless of religion. I see people, like if their bike won't start, they just put their leg out and they, push the other's bike. They don't even know them. Apart from that, I remember, and this happened to me yesterday, day of yesterday, I had gone for a wedding. Sorry, Sunday. I had gone for a wedding, my friend's wedding. And while we were coming back, I and my dad, we saw someone, and by the way, a family of 5 on a bike. That's an issue. That's a huge issue, and I can talk about it. But anyway, so they were going on a highway, and the child, the boy, he was sitting in the middle. So his leg was just dangling. His leg came in the wheel, and like a chunk of his soul, it just got caught and it just came off. I didn't know what to do. This was the first time I saw it. We stopped. We tried to help, but at the same time, 7 to 8 other cars and bikes, they stopped to help him. They could have just, and by the way, it was 2 o'clock in the night. They could have just gone home, or they could have done whatever they're doing. But they stopped to help that kid. And thankfully there were hospitals nearby, NMC and all. तो वहाँ तक पहुँचा दिया उसको. So like, even though it was like a 40-minute ordeal, people wanted to help. So what I'm trying to say is that people are kind, people are generous, but people are not educated.
Like other experiences like Karachi, Pakistan के दूसरे शहरों में.
Pakistan के दूसरे शहरों में.
Yeah.
And that's the route. I've been to other countries, but Shahar, I've been to Hyderabad. That's when I was a kid. Yeah. And I haven't really noticed any difference, to be very honest.
That's good.
Hardly any. It's good and bad. It's like we went there because my father was working. So when we went there, we, as well as a family friend of ours, the whole family, we went there. And people were, okay, I take that back, they were a bit, cold. I feel like, I don't know if that's the case with most Pakistanis or just Karachi, but Karachi was a little more, friendly.
Okay.
And even though I was a kid, that thing, it stuck out to me.
So do you think you will be staying in Karachi long term?
No.
No?
big no. Because I will keep in touch with Karachi, with the culture, with stuff like that, because it's my it's my whole, my whole lineage has been connected to Karachi. But it's not only because of the academic and professional, prospects, but also because I feel like since I want to get into finance and also filmmaking, so I want to do filmmaking on the side. So here, the thing is that there's a lot of potential here in terms of many things. In terms of cinema, there is immense potential. I mean, look at what India has done, right? We can do so many things. There are many dramas. There are a few dramas and a few movies, I guess, that are good. But the rest of them are absolutely abysmal, and I hate them to my core. Why can't? Because we know what happened. Okay, I might ramble on, but we know what happened to Korean cinema. There was a huge revolution. There was a revolution. It changed cinema in general completely, right? People from Japan, people like Akira Kurosawa, he completely transformed cinema, right? Why can't we do the same?
Do you think you can be the one?
I hope so, but filhal, for now, I do feel like, going to the other, because there's one movie, I just want to clarify, there's a movie, In Flames. It's a really good movie, you guys need to check it out. So it's made by a Pakistani who went to Canada and, and he distributed it here. That's what I plan to do. That's my aspiration. So yeah, that's what I want to do, because there are more resources. Here there are very minimal resources. So
what were your festivities like growing up? Do you
parties growing up?
Like Christmas, Easter?
Okay, my since once again I'm from a very introverted, background. We didn't really have, the things that people think of, like Santa Claus. Those are all cultural things. Santa Claus, Christmas trees, Easter bunnies and stuff like that. We do not have stuff like that. But yes, religiously, I have practiced most of them. I'm not saying I'm a very religious person, but I have enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed spending time with my own Christian fellows and, stuff like that. But just one thing I just want to add. Here, there's a huge culture. I don't know if it's religious, I don't know if it's a culture, and frankly, I don't know. But people don't wish. Like, people don't wish. In general. Like, Muslims, right? At least the friends that I have, what they do is they spend time with me, they do every single thing with me, right? Like, we eat together, we do everything. But they never, wish me, they don't care, basically. They don't care, they don't even acknowledge that we have a particular, festivity that's happening. And there is probably a religious, reason for that. But I've always felt odd, because I always wish everyone for Eid, for Ramzan, for stuff like that. So yeah.
Do you think it gets better? What advice would you give to 10-year-old Ethan?
10-year-old?
Yeah.
It gets better if you take matters into your own hands. You can't rely on the world around us. The world will not solve everything for you. You need to take a stand, you need to be a better person. You need to show the world that there is something different. There is something different, there is hope for the world, basically. Right? You need to take a stand. You can't expect the world to thrive. And that's in everything. Every single thing. So yeah, that's what I like to say.
That's great. So it does get better for Ethan?
It does. Hopefully it does.
Ethan has a lot of hope, I guess. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us, Ethan.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
आप कराची की बहुत लाखों आवाज़ों में से एक आवाज़ थे, and it was really great to have you.
I'm glad to represent me.
We're so glad that you were here as your communities represented.
100%.
Like I hope that it gets better and we have more representation
I hope so.
everywhere.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
So this was कराची की कहानी, कराची की ज़ुबानी. मिलते हैं आपसे next episode में. Thank you so much for joining us. Allah Hafiz.
Yeah.